I'll just repeat it for the recording. So, premise one: if it is true that there is no persistent self, then most statements made about our own mental states are false.
If most statements about mental states are false, then there is good reason for us to be skeptics about most moral and epistemic. If there is no persistent self, that is good reason for us to be skeptics about moral and all epistemic claims. Then we have good reason to affirm. If we have good reason for us to affirm a persistent self, then we commit ourselves to the theory. Yeah, and I guess the contendable premise is premise 3. I can agree to everything you're just saying. And basically what you're saying is that if we had good reasons to not be skeptic about our moral and epistemic claims, then there's a self. Yeah, I guess I'd reject premise 3 where you're making the leap to the soul stuff.
Well, I just think that soul theory specifically best accounts for diachronic identity. I think it best accounts for intrinsic identity, and also like transitivity. I think most other theories of identity fall into arbitrariness issues, vagueness, right? And since soul theory just doesn't fall through any of those other objections, right? Then I just think soul theory is just a stronger theory which you should hold to. So.
Do you know what the interaction problem is?
Yeah.
What's your response? Okay, well, you're saying the soul. You're saying the person is identical to the soul. This isn't Philemon, right?
Yeah, the person is just identical to the soul, and that the persistence condition is as long as it has the same soul, right? Then it's the same person.
Okay, well then, what grounds the continuity of the soul over time?
What grounds the continuity of the soul? Simply put, it just doesn't like I take the soul to be a simple entity, so it isn't composed of any other parts. So as long as the same subject of experience continues to exist, then it's the same person.
Yeah, but the subject of experience presumably is the soul, right?
Yep.
I'm asking how that persists.
How that persists?
But then it's circular.
Well, I mean, if it doesn't lose any of its parts, wait, hold on. If it is not composed of parts, and it's just the same, what's it called? And it's just the same entity. If you're just asking, specifically what it needs, what the soul needs to persist, is that what you're asking?
No, I'm asking how the soul persists. Like, by virtue of what does the soul persist through time?
By virtue of what? That's vague too. Are you just asking, I just
vague? Is the question vague or is the persistence conditions vague?
No. Yeah, what's it called? Saying specifically that how does it persist through time? That's vague.
But if you ask an animalist how the animal persists through time, they say something like biological continuity.
Yep.
And then if you say okay, how does if you take a psychological continuity, you can say the causal interaction of previous mental states with future ones or something like that. But then with the soul stuff, it seems like it's vague. So it's unclear how you're establishing persistence.
Wait, what about what's it called? What about repeating that it's the same? What's it called? What about repeating that it just needs to have all of the same properties that the soul at time point 1 does? What about that is vague? Or it just needs to have the same sort of essential properties. What about that is vague?
Okay, so it has to have the same essential properties. And what's meant by essential properties?
The essential property in this case would just be the bearer of experiences. So, as literally, I just think for it to
it's circular.
Wait, hold on.
The bearer of experiences is the soul.
Yeah, the bearer of experiences is the soul, right? For it to be the same soul.
You're trolling, bro.
Wait, hold on. For it to be the same soul, right? Then it just needs to have all of the same sort of essential. Specifically, the bearer of experience or the bearer of experiences just needs to be the same.
Was the bearer of the experience?
Yeah. So for it to be the way, hold on. So for it to be the same
soul.
Wait. So for the soul to be the same, hold on. For the soul to be the same, right? It needs to have all of the same relevant properties that it does in the past, right? And then for it to have all of the same relevant properties that it does in the past, all that just means
essential properties.
Yeah, okay, hold on. It just needs to have all of the same properties. So it just needs to be numerically identical to itself in the past. So it just needs to have all of the same properties.
I agree. Okay, listen, I agree that to establish numerical identity, you have to have numerical identity. I'm asking how. Then you said it has to have the same essential properties. I ask you what the essential properties are.
If you're asking me,
being the same bearer of experience, which is the soul.
Hold on. So are you asking me? I just want to know. Are you asking me? What'd you say? Yeah,
I said I'm holding on.
Okay, yeah. Are you asking me by virtue of what does
those cheeks?
Okay, bro. Are you asking me by virtue of what does the soul remain the same entity?
How how is it diachronically identical to itself?
How is it diachronically identical? Yeah, it's unclear. If you're asking me for like the same sort of persistent conditions that you'd get if you asked an animalist, right? Why like it's the same, so then I don't think I'd be able to give you. Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to give you the same sort of answer because I don't think the soul is composed of parts. So if you're asking me like, okay, if there needs to be some specific part of the soul that remains the same, I don't think the soul is made of parts. So like, I do if the soul is just not composed of parts, then asking me for a specific persistence condition is just vague. Like, it just doesn't tell me anything.
Okay, there is no persistence. Okay, cool. There's no persistence conditions. Cool. So, I mean,
well,
you said essential parts earlier, then we'd like it. Yeah, now it's vague again, so we can just move on to the next
look, the persistence conditions, the persistence conditions is just that it needs, I mean, well, if you're just being by persistence conditions that there's some set property or set property it needs to continue having, then I just don't think that's the case for, if like, that's just the case for souls. Because I think souls are simple entities.
But then how do you account for the sameness over time if you don't know what the persistence is?
How do I account for the sameness over time?
10 years ago.
Well, how do I account for the thing being the sameness over time? As long as, what's it called? As long as the bearer of experiences, continues to remain the same, then it's just the same. Or as long as the bearer of experiences...
Listen, Shinra, what you're saying is literally the soul is the same if the soul is the same, because the bearer of experiences is like semantically identical to the soul. No, it's literally the same thing as the soul. That's why it's uninformative.
Hold on.
Over this point though, you don't have an answer. It's fine. What do you have? What's the response to the interaction problem?
Well, I take both physical and non-physical interactions to be brute. So, like, asking me specifically how does the soul interact with the body is just, I don't think it's an issue on both views. But like, the thing I want to talk about, or the thing I want to know specifically, is when you say that something needs a persistence condition, what exactly are you asking for?
I'm asking for an account that can encompass the sameness of Shinra at T1 to T2 to T3 to T4 to T5, because you want to say that you're the same person as like the fetus, as the 1-year-old Shinra, 6-year-old Shinra, so on and so forth.
Yep. And you want to know why I'm the same person. And then if I tell you that the reason why I am the same person, right, is because I have the same soul, and then you think, and your response to that specifically is just that, okay, well, you don't have this, or like, that's circular specifically because we're trying to establish what grounds the sameness of the soul, and you're just saying I have the same soul. Yeah, so for it to be the same, okay, well, I just don't think those sorts of critiques are like effective against soul theory then, because for you to ask me specifically, like, whether or not there's persistence conditions there, if the soul is just a simple entity, asking me for any one part of the soul which needs to persist would be vague, because the soul just, isn't composed of parts. I think that's only effective on views. I think that's only effective on views which, like, the self is supposed to be composed of like specific individual parts, which can be reduced. So. Okay, well, quickly, if you're saying that both for the physicalist and the dualist point, and so, do you accept ontic parsimony or no? It's probability conducive. Sure. Okay, great. So if you agree that both persistence for both is vague, why are you positing like this? No. I didn't say persistence for both is vague specifically. I said that it would be unclear or confused to say that like a soul theory view needs to give you a specific part of the soul which must persist for it to remain the same soul if the soul is not composed of parts. You can't account for... Okay, you're saying because it's not composed of parts, you can't account for change over time? No. Because the soul is not composed of parts, you can't ask specifically what... you can't say, oh, well, what part of the soul must persist in order for the soul to be the same entity. No. Not what part of it. I mean, at first it was... Okay, it's no longer the essential properties. You're just saying that there isn't... It's vague. It persists, but it's vague, but you just know you have the same soul. No. I'm saying that it is the same soul, but when you ask me specifically, like, why do the condition, or like specifically when you ask for persistence conditions, meaning that you're asking me for a specific part of the soul that remains the same, it's unclear what you're asking me for. No, the soul is not a part of it. Well, you can say like the essential features of the soul or whatever, but yeah. Yeah, the essential features of the soul would just be to have the same first-person perspective. But then what's having the first person perspective with the soul, right? No, the soul is the first person perspective.
So so the way the soul persists is by having the first person perspective.
No,
And the
this
first
for
person
this for the soul to
perspective is the
persist.
soul.
Look, okay, I don't know how else to explain this to you. So for the soul to persist, right, it
It's
must
fine.
have. Wait,
We
hold
can
on.
move past this point.
So for the soul to persist, it must have the same sort of, or it must have like, it must be the same thing that it was in the past, right? The thing that was in the past was some unique experience of qualia. It was this unique experience of first person perspectives. If this unique experience stops existing for whatever reason, right, then it was called. Then it is no longer the same soul. But as long as this unique like experience continues to exist, then it is the same.
Okay, I mean, we can get past this point. So, if wait, you're saying that what did you say was vague for both? I just want to get clear. What did you say
It's
is
on
vague for both the
interaction is vague
physicalist
on
and the
both views.
dualist?
Interaction is vague on both views. So
Okay, interactions vague on both of you. Okay, so why? Okay, so why are you committed to dualism over physicalism if interaction's vague? Like, what's is there a piece of data that the physicalist can accommodate for? Like,
yeah, so I don't
is there
think
explanatory
physicalism.
scope
Yeah, I don't think
issues,
physicalist
explanatory
theories of
power issues?
identity. Yeah, I don't think physicalist theories of identity can properly account for like persistence through change. I don't think physicalist like theories of identity. Like, I think they fall into arbitrariness often, right? Where like, or like, I think they also can they can't properly account for bodily replacement theories, right? I think they can't like account for like one-to-one identity. There's a whole bunch of things I don't think specifically the physicalist theories of identity can account for.
Mm-hmm. Just take the animalist view, and it's grounded in biological continuity, like being the same organism over time. What's the
And
issue with that
sameness
view?
there is indexed to what specifically?
Being the same animal over time, biological continuity.
Being the same animal. That just like that doesn't tell me what sameness is.
This being the same organism, being the same animal. That is the sameness. That's what's ground. That's
No, no,
what
no.
grounds
Look,
you as a person.
you're
The same
using
human
the
animal.
word same. Look, you're using the word same. But I'm asking you specifically, what does same mean there?
What is the same? Being the same or like animal as yesterday and tomorrow.
No, no, no. Okay, but what does that
Same.
word
Like,
same?
It's diachronic identity.
Diachronic identity, and by diachronic identity you mean
Being numerically identical, one and the same as tomorrow.
numerically identical, and by numerically identical, I assume you're talking about you're invoking Leibniz's law.
For x equals y if y and x share the same proper parts.
Okay, so no, x equals y if they just share all of the same properties, like every single property. So look, yeah. So then the question is just okay. Imagine you right now, and imagine you in the like 2 seconds from now. I remove one hair from your head. Now you no longer have all of the same properties. The organism doesn't have all of the same properties, right? So if they no longer have all of the same properties, then simply put, they just aren't the same animal.
Diachronic identity isn't talking about Leibniz's law. That's like for, yeah, I'm not sure if
diachronic identity is indexed to staying the same over time, and by same there, I just asked you, and you said that you were invoking Leibniz's law. So
no. I got clarity. I didn't say yes or no. I was getting clarity on the whatever rendition of Leibniz's law you were using.
Yeah. So
from my understanding, Leibniz's law is saying something like, okay, Superman equals Clark Kent. If Superman can fly and Superman is identical, like Superman is Clark Kent, then it follows that Clark Kent can fly.
Yeah,
I have to go to the.
That's just transitivity. That's just transitivity. So if Superman can fly, Clark Kent is Superman. Clark Kent is Superman, then Clark Kent can fly.
No, that's Leibniz's law. It's not transitivity. Transitivity is just saying like one-to-oneness.
No, one-to-oneness. Okay, one-to-oneness is different from transitivity. Look, transitivity is just like if A is greater than B, B is greater than C, then A is greater than C. But it's irrelevant. Whenever you say Leibniz's law, or how I'm understanding it is that whatever is true of A must also be true of B. So right now, right, the human animal you are right now, you've moved like a hair on your head has fallen off probably, right? Then it's just not everything which is true of you right now, true of the human animal right now, is also true of the human animal like say 5 seconds from now. So it's unclear how you're able to say that these two are the same entity.
Yeah, you can just say that you're still biologically continuous with the past animal via like certain via homeostasis and fucking other biological functions the animal has, like reproduction, cellular respiration, etc.
Wait, so biologically continuous, what do you mean?
Yeah, I explained it ostensibly, like having the same animalistic functions as yesterday and tomorrow, like
Yeah, okay,
respiration, cellular
that kicks the can down the road.
division.
Then that sort of kicks the can down the road because you look whenever you say that, oh well, specifically you have the same biological functions, you wouldn't be able to invoke that or sameness right now is the term we're trying to get clear on. So again, if the sort of functions that you had right now, the sort of functions you have like now, right? If I remove one cell from say your pancreas, now you no longer have the same sort of biological functions because you'd be specifically
No, no,
what's it
no.
called? You'd specifically be like what's it called? The same like having the doing the same functions, right? While also not while also missing say one of your
Yeah,
cells. So you wouldn't be able to claim you're the same.
that's another way you can account for it. You can say that. Hold on, somebody tagged me.
Okay. Yo, you back?
I don't know who this person. I don't know who Lyman or Space House is. I'm not adding you back. Yeah, that's another way you can account for the change. Just saying the animal persists insofar as the same functional unity of the composite object is persisting through time. So, like, the animal has certain functions, like the heart has the function of pumping blood, the eyes have the functional role of seeing, and as long as the animal maintains those functions over time, you can be the same animal. But I have to get ready for the gym so we can move to closing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we I'll just give my response and then if you have anything else to say, we
Yeah,
can
go
move
ahead.
to
Yeah,
closing.
go
But
ahead.
yeah, so to that, saying that you have the same sort of functioning that you did in the past, right, would be again it uses the word same, and if we're understanding same that everything was true of one must be true of the other, then trivially, even though you are still like fulfilling the same functional role that you did in the past, right, since you're not fulfilling the same functional role with all of the same parts, then it's unclear how you'd ground that they're the same entity. And if what's relevant there is the functional role specifically, right, then you would also need to grant that I'm also identical to say a clone of my say like my conjoined twin, that my conjoined twin and I are the same person, because since they are both using the same sort of biological functions as myself in order to survive, then we are now the same person, right? Which would again be vague because then you'd have to be saying that there are two people inhabiting one body, right? Which is what's it called, which runs you into a lot of issues, right? But if you have anything else to say aside from that, then we can just like end the conversation here. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna respond to you, and it's gonna be the closing statement. So for the conjoined twin stuff, animalists have certain responses given. They can say something like the primary organ of the organism can be like the brain, and if there's two separate brains that are like causally interacting with the organisms, that's sufficient to say that there's two different persons present. And then we talked about the functional unity stuff of the organism and the like certain animal functions persisting over time, like cellular respiration, cell division, homeostasis, etc. And that's how the animal persists through the time. That's how you can establish a diachronic identity. I didn't really hear good responses to that. So yeah, we covered both the conjoined twin shit and
Yeah, I mean,
unity
well,
stuff.
it's just unclear what's it called, how you individuate people under like the view that what's relevant there specifically is the functional role. And if you say that the brain specifically is the primary thing which makes you the same animal, right? Then trivially, if the brain is the primary thing, then I don't see how like what's it called specifically, I don't see how you'd actually be able to first of all say that if the brain is the primary organ, why is it the same brain over time? Again, it just kicks the can down the road because now you're unable to actually appeal to say bodily continuity, specifically because of the fact that the main relevant property here is the brain. And then even if you were to ground it through saying that the brain is the same brain over time or something like that, right, then trivially you'd be saying that there's two people inhabiting the same body, right, and these two people inhabiting the same body have equal causal power over it, right, and it's unclear specifically why, like how you'd be able to explain or individuate yourself from any other person who exists, right, because of the fact that if the functional role is what matters, any other living being can actually like possibly instantiate the same like functional role with their own body, which would mean that there are multiple different versions of yourself who exist at every different moment in time. But yeah, I guess
What a good faith conversation, man. Good
yeah,
stuff.
man. Oh,